It had been a while since I had posted a video. Everything's just been crazy, taking care of my mother and stuff. And it's been really hard because she's not walking much. And so I have to lift her up out of, the wheelchair, off of her bed, you know, help her in the bathroom. And so, you know, it can be challenging. And so, my focus has been on, taking care of my mother and working when I can. But I also wanted to, you know, give a video of a concern that I've always had and what really this topic and, men being the source and the provider for his family. This is what really sparked, my interest in making videos because it's a mindset that a lot of people have. And it's something that it seems like is traditional and it's always been. And my question to that is just because something is a tradition, is it true? Is it right? Is it morally correct? But mostly, in the eyes of God, is it right? And so, do we just believe things because it has always been that way? I mean, we have to really take a step back and look at the things that we believe and ask ourselves, is it biblical? Are we really following the truth? Or we just going along with what we were always told? And so, I'm really hoping that I can complete this video before I get another delivery. I got the notifications on. So I hope I can finish this video. If not, I will have to do it again. But what I really want to correct, I know what it's like to be in that place. I was in that place of having that mindset that, I wanted to be a provider for my family, but it was absolutely difficult with, where I was, my limitations personally. And, I know what it's like to have limitations. I know what it's like when you're trying your best to find a good paying job so that you can follow in line with this world has says that you got to do, great career, a house and two-car garage, updated cars, a lot of money in the bank. This is what I was striving for. And in my limitations, there was nothing I could do. I recall when my, dependence on God began is when I was putting resumes out for graphic design jobs and I heard nothing. I tried to update my resume. I tried to update my skills in, graphic design. But what can you do when, you only have an associate's degree and you have no option of going back to school? And the only option I had was to relearn everything, which was not an option, So I know what it was like putting resumes out and I heard absolutely nothing. And, that's what drove me into God's presence, saying, Lord, I can't do it anymore. I can't be successful like, these people are telling me, like this world wants. And that's when he led me into trusting him. I was at a gazebo and I prayed that to God. And then all of a sudden I had a vision of a plane in a holding pattern. And if you've been watching my videos, you know about that. But if you're new, I will say that, I had a vision and it was a plane. And I remember the setting. It was like behind it was like dark skies with a little bit, it looked like of orange. So I don't know if it was a sunset. It could have been a sunset. But the plane was just sitting there. And God gave me the knowledge of it that before it takes off, its fuel needs to be checked, the wires need to be checked before it's given the okay to go. And so I was like, okay, what does this mean? And then I'm to wait. And then God gave me the verse from Isaiah 40:31. Those who wait upon the Lord, he will renew their strength. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. So I said, okay, God, if this vision is from you, if you told me this according to Isaiah, then give me a confirmation so I'm not going out on my own and I'm doing my own thing. So that evening, I got an email from a sister. I didn't let her know of what I was doing or anything. But at the end of it, she said, fasten your seatbelt. You're about to take off. So that was my confirmation. So at that moment, I was learning everything from God. He was re-educating me according to the world, saying what the world believes and what is not true. And so I was just learning everything from him, getting what I needed to learn according to John 6:45. And it says in scripture, did you not know that you would be taught by God? And so that's what he was doing. He was teaching me. So that's one of the things that he was teaching me, is the fact that, there's that flaw thinking of man as being the source and the main provider. And I'll get into my reasons on why this is flawed thinking. Like I had said, we had grown accustomed to, certain thinking in this world. But is it biblically true, or are we just following what culture has said? And I had already said at the beginning that, it's in man's heart to want to provide for his family. That's his heart, that he wants to take care of them. And so the problem is he being looked at as the source? Are families trusting in his ability to provide? And in I believe it's Deuteronomy 8:18, it said that God gives us the ability to produce wealth. All right, he's given us the ability. He's given us the ability. We don't have any ability on our own. He gives us the strength. So what if our strength is taken away? If man is temporary and he only has a breath, what if his breath is taken away and goes back to God? So where should your trust be, in man or in God? So that's something that God has taught me. And it reminds me of that movie Courageous. It's such a good movie, but there's scenes in it about this Spanish man and his wife, and he's doing the best he can, trying to find work, and his wife is making it harder on him, saying, oh, what are you going to do about this job? We have rent that's due and all that. And he's like, don't you think I know this? I know this already. It's in my heart to want to provide for my family. And I could feel his pain. Any man that's in that position can feel that pain. So, you know, he, he ends up finding work and his wife is relieved. And there's this one scene that, because of his integrity, you know, he was offered this position, but they were testing him, as we eventually come to find out. And um, this this test led him into getting a good job. But with this test, he went home. He was telling his wife, they were expecting him to hold back shipments and not putting anything in the books, which would be a lie. And this man knew this. He knew that he had to have had, integrity. And so his wife is like, oh, maybe it's not wrong. Because she was so concerned about him having a good paying job. And, she was all, upset, at the, him losing this job and stuff like that. I'm like thinking to myself, are you really kidding me? Really? You're so focused about being comfortable. You're your husband having a good paying job. You want things all nice and easy. Life is not easy. Life is hard. And to put that yoke on somebody's shoulders, it's not right. And this is what he dealt with. And he knew he had to stick with his integrity. And when he ended up having this job, his boss congratulated him on his integrity, and he told his wife, and she's like, "Oh, God honors you because you honor him." And I was like thinking to myself, so now you're saying that to him. Why didn't you say that to him when he was struggling looking for work and you were making it harder on him? I'm sorry. It just, it's a beautiful movie, but that scene really irritates me, because I know what God had said in his word. And I know that this yoke on a man's back is not right. And so the real focus needs to be on this place, that if you're putting your trust in anybody, your trust is going to fail. It says in scripture that whoever puts their trust in the Lord will not be put to shame. And it also says in scripture, why put your trust in mere man who has but a breath? He's here temporarily. These are the examples in scripture of what I mean. We should never put our trust in anything but God. He is the source. He is Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides. So to help keep things in perspective, before you even attempt to put your trust in a husband, boyfriend, in your job, in your career, in anything other than God, you have to remember what happens if you get sick. What happens if you have a car accident and you're unable to work? What if you're looking for jobs and you never find one? How would you feel? Would you worry? If you worry, this is the example of why this thinking is flawed. Our eyes should always be looked upward. Our strength should always come from God. He is the source. He is the provider of all things. So, we must always look, couples that are Christian, this traditional thinking needs to stop. The couples need to come together, realize that God is the source, and then always realizing that, God, you're the one who gives me the strength to work. Give me the strength this day to do what I need to do. Give me the strength to be able to do the hours that I need to do in order to pay these bills. But Lord, even if I can't work, I'm looking at you as the source, the main provider for my family. And Lord, I'm not going to look into myself anymore. I'm going to look to you. And families need to look to you. Wives, instead of looking to their husbands, which is the traditional mindset, they need to look to God. God, give us the ability to work. Give us the ability to look to you as the source, that if we ever get sick, you're the one who's going to come through for us. And God has provided in my life so many times, and that is to encourage so many people. So I pray this video helps put things into perspective, and it helps you, and we have to conquer this traditional thinking and culture's thinking. We need to live unfettered for God. And so, I just wanted to share this thinking with you. Thank you for taking the time to watch.